No one sees the first punch you take. No one feels the weight that breaks your chest when life hits harder than you expected. They only see the calm, not the chaos it took to earn it. You learn quickly that pain doesn't wait for applause. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It just comes fast, brutal, and honest. And in that moment, you either crumble or you clench your fists and swing back. That's where it all begins. Not under the lights, not in the crowd's cheers, but in the quiet corners of your own hell where you teach yourself to move forward, even when everything inside you says stop. You ever wonder why no one claps for you when you're struggling? Why no one texts you when you're trying to hold yourself together? Why silence is the only thing that answers you when you give everything you've got? Because that's how it's supposed to be. The world isn't meant to see the work you do in the dark. It's meant to see the result, the version of you that survived the storm. And that's the hardest part about chasing something real. You'll bleed where no one's watching. You'll cry where no one can hear you. You'll break again and again until your reflection doesn't even recognize itself. But that's where greatness is built, in the silence, in the grind, in the hours no one gives a damn about. You see, people love the finish line, but they'll never understand the road that led there. They'll see your glory, not your grind. They'll celebrate your rise, not your suffering. They'll cheer your success, but they'll never respect your solitude. And that's fine, because you don't do this for them. You do it for the part of you that refuses to stay weak. You do it for the version of you that still believes, even when the world forgot your name. When you wake up before the sun, when your body aches from yesterday's fight, when the floor is cold and your will is fading, that's the real battle. No music, no motivation, just you and that quiet voice inside, your head saying, get up. And when you do even once, you separate yourself from most people, because most people don't get up. They talk about dreams, they post about goals, but they never face themselves in the dark. The dark is where a weakness whispers. It tells you that no one cares. It tells you that your effort doesn't matter. It tells you that you're wasting your time. And if you listen long enough, it'll win. Because the dark doesn't fight you with force. It fights you with doubt. It drains your hope slowly until you forget why you started. But here's the truth. If you can survive the silence, you can survive anything. Because silence is pressure. It's resistance. It's where warriors are formed. You'll know you're growing when you stop needing eyes on you. When you stop needing to be understood. When you stop caring about applause. That's when you become dangerous. Because nothing and no one can take away a fire that feeds on discipline. Motivation fades. Inspiration dies. But discipline that's forever, that's what keeps you standing when the light goes out. Every bruise, every scar, every failure, that's your proof of progress. You might not see it yet, but it's there. The way your heart hardens, the way your eyes sharpen, the way your fear stops controlling you. Each time you get back up, you build something stronger inside yourself, something unbreakable. That's the part of you they'll never see. The version that stayed when everything else left. When people finally notice you, they'll say, you changed. They'll say, you came out of nowhere. They'll think it was sudden, but you'll know the truth. You didn't come out of nowhere. You came out of hell. You built yourself there. You earned your strength in silence. You fought battles no one will ever understand. And that's what makes you different. There's something sacred about fighting alone, where it's just you and your thoughts. And the only thing louder than your pain is your purpose. You'll want to quit. You'll question yourself. You'll hate the process. You'll feel invisible. But every time you choose to keep going, You're becoming something they can't define. You're building quiet power. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that speaks for itself when the time comes. Because someday you'll walk into a room and people will feel your presence before you even speak. They won't know why. They won't see the years of struggle carved into your posture. They won't hear the echoes of the nights you almost gave up. But it'll be there in your calm, in your silence, in the way you stand like someone who's already been through the worst. That's what the dark gives you. Peace and pain. You have to understand this. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they want witnesses. They want recognition before they've earned it. They want the world to validate their effort. But the dark doesn't validate. It ignores you. It humbles you. It tests how bad you truly want it. You don't ask for strength. You earn it there. You don't find your worth. You forge it there. And when you finally rise, the world will call you lucky, but you'll smile because you know luck doesn't wake up at 4 a.m. Luck doesn't bleed, doesn't fall, doesn't keep going after failure. That's not luck. That's obsession. That's pain transformed into power. So when the world doubts you, when no one claps, when no one believes, they let them. Because while they're sleeping, you're working. While they're talking, you're growing. While they're doubting, you're building a version of yourself they'll never catch. That's the beauty of it. The dark doesn't care who you were. It only cares who you become when no one's watching. And the moment you accept that, the moment you realize that you don't need recognition to keep going, that's when you're free. Free to fail. Free to rebuild. Free to rise without anyone's permission. They'll never see the hours you gave. They'll never feel the pain you swallowed. They'll never understand the sacrifices that buried your softness. But they will see the result. They'll see the quiet confidence, the steady eyes, the calm strength that only comes from someone who's fought themselves and won. You won't need to tell your story. Your presence will do it for you. So keep grinding in silence. Keep breaking limits that no one knows exist. Keep fighting battles no one will ever thank you for. Because that's the price. That's what it takes. That's what it means to rise from the dark. And one day when the light finally hits you, you'll realize something. The applause doesn't matter anymore because the real reward wasn't the recognition. It was who you became in the process. The dark didn't destroy you. It refined you. They'll never see the work you did in the dark. They'll never see the hours, the pain, the hunger, the sacrifice. But that's okay because the dark wasn't meant to be seen. It was meant to shape. The world will only see your rise, but you'll know every scar that carried you there. You'll know what it cost. You'll know the truth. You didn't build strength for attention. You built it for survival. So when the spotlight finally finds you, don't bow. Don't explain. Just stand tall, breathe deep, and remember. They'll never see the work you did in the dark, but you'll always feel the power it gave. You, but the power it gave you. That's what they'll never understand. They'll never understand what it feels like to stare at your own reflection and not recognize the person looking back. To wonder when the boy who once dreamed turned into the man who only survives. To carry pain so long that it becomes part of your heartbeat. Not a wound, but a rhythm. Because that's what happens when you live in the dark for too long. You stop waiting for light. You start becoming it. Every scar becomes a story. Every failure a foundation. Every bruise whispers a reminder. You're still here. And that's not something the weak will ever understand. They want glory without the grind. They want victory without sacrifice. They want to be seen before they've earned the right to exist. But the truth is brutal. Real strength doesn't come from winning. It comes from losing everything that made you soft and still choosing to stand. There's a kind of silence that breaks people. The kind where even your thoughts turn against you. Where doubt crawls inside your head and says, "You've done enough. You've given enough. It's over." But it's not over. Not for you. Because you've been broken before and you got back up. You've lost before and you came back hungrier. You've bled before and you learned how to fight with pain as your weapon. And that's the difference. That's why the dark fears you now, because you've learned that strength isn't a roar. It's a whisper. It's the quiet voice that says, "One more round." Even when your legs shake, even when your lungs burn, even when your heart wants to stop, you keep going. Not because you're fearless, but because fear doesn't get a say anymore. Not because you're unbreakable, but because you've already been broken and rebuilt stronger. And that's what the world can't take from you. They can take your peace. They can take your comfort. They can take everything you thought you needed. But they can't take the will you forged in silence. The will that grew teeth in the dark. That's your edge. That's your fire. The thing that keeps burning even when the lights go out. You see, most people train for a fight. But you live in one. Every day, every breath, every step forward is a war against your old self. And that's the hardest opponent you'll ever face. Because your old self knows all your weaknesses. It knows the shortcuts, the excuses, the fears. It knows how to whisper, "Take a break. You deserve it." But you don't stop. Because you know every time you choose comfort, you kill the part of you that could have become unstoppable. The world loves comfort. It worships it. It sells it in smiles and screams and easy choices. But not you. You chose the pain. You chose the struggle. You chose the road no one else wanted to walk. And that's why you'll win. Not because you're lucky, but because you endured what they couldn't. When everyone else was sleeping, you were bleeding. When everyone else was quitting, you were grinding. When everyone else was comfortable, you were suffering willingly. That's the kind of madness greatness demands. That's the kind of obsession that turns ordinary souls into legends. And maybe they'll never understand it. Why you kept fighting long after the world stopped watching. Why you smiled through the pain. Why you kept chasing a dream that no one else could see. But that's not for them to understand. Because this isn't their story. It's yours. It's the story of every silent night, every lonely morning, every second you spent wondering if it would all be worth it. And when that moment comes, when you finally stand on that invisible line between who you were and who you've become, you'll feel it. That quiet peace, that calm power. Not because you've conquered the world, but because you've conquered yourself. And the truth is, that's all you ever needed to do, because once you master the darkness inside you, the world outside doesn't stand a chance. So keep your fists up, keep your guard tight, keep your soul steady even when everything shakes. You're not done yet. This isn't the end. This is just another round. And as long as you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. The dark will keep testing you. It'll throw new storms, new pain, new doubt. But now you know what to do. You don't run. You don't hide. You walk forward, step by step, hit by hit, until the darkness itself backs down. Because it will. It always does when it realizes you're not afraid anymore. And when it does, when the silence fades and the world finally notices what you've become, don't smile. Don't bow. Just breathe. Because you know they'll never see the work you did in the dark, but they'll feel the strength it gave you every time you rise. Because that's what the dark does. It doesn't hand you trophies. It doesn't pat your back. It just throws you into the fire and waits to see if you'll burn or forge, and you chose to forge. You took the punches of life through, not because you liked pain, but because pain became your language. Every hit taught you something. How to breathe when it hurts. How to stand when your legs don't listen. How to move when your body screams to stop. And slowly you stopped running from the hurt. You started listening to it, because pain has a truth that comfort will never speak. It tells you who you really are. It strips away the excuses. It shows you what's left when everything else is gone. That's the test. Not to avoid pain, but to understand it, to learn from it, to let it sharpen you instead of soften you. See, most people break the moment things get hard. They talk about strength until they have to feel weak. They talk about purpose until the world goes silent. They talk about courage until fear actually shows up. But you stayed. You stayed through the silence, through the pain, through the nights that broke most men. You stayed because something inside you refused to die, something wild, something relentless, something that knew the fight wasn't over just because you were tired. And that's the part of you no one will ever understand. The part that doesn't flinch anymore. The part that knows it's not supposed to get easier. It's supposed to get heavier because you're getting stronger. The weight doesn't change. You do. Every scar is proof. Proof that you didn't fold. Proof that you didn't quit when the world gave you every reason to. You built discipline in the dark. Not because someone told you to, but because your soul demanded it. Because deep down you knew if you stopped moving, the pain would win. So you kept swinging, even when no one saw you, even when the crowd disappeared, even when your hands were shaking and your heart was breaking, you kept swinging. And that's what real warriors do. They don't fight to be seen. They fight because they must. Because if they stop, silence swallows them whole. You learned how to breathe under the weight, how to smile through the struggle, how to bleed without breaking. And now you carry that calm, that quiet fire, the kind that scares people without saying a word, because they can feel it. That you've been somewhere they haven't. That you've seen things they'll never understand. That you've bled for something real. That's what separates you. Not talent, not luck, but the willingness to stay when everything told you to leave. You learn to find peace in punishment. You learn that exhaustion is temporary, but regret lasts forever. You learn that the ones who survive the longest aren't the fastest or the strongest. They're the ones who refuse to stop. So when the next storm comes, and it will, you don't panic anymore. You don't question yourself. You just tighten your fists and whisper, "I've been here before," because the dark isn't new to you. It's home now. And every time it tries to swallow you again, you remind it you were born there. That's a truth no one talks about. The dark doesn't disappear when you rise. It stays waiting, testing, whispering. But now you've changed. You don't fear it. You walk through it. You wear it like armor because the dark made you. And that's something light can never take away. So the next time life hits you, harder than before, faster than you expect, don't look for mercy. Don't wait for rescue. Just square up. Breathe. And remember, you've been here before and you're still standing. That's not luck. That's not fate. That's discipline. That's obsession. That's you. You don't need them to understand your fight. You don't need them to see your scars because you've already earned something far greater. Self-respect. And no applause can compete with that. So keep moving forward. Keep hitting back. Keep living in that space between chaos and calm because that's where legends are born. And one day when you finally reach the top, When the world calls your name, when the lights hit your face, don't smile. Don't explain. Just breathe, because you'll know the truth. You didn't rise to be seen. You rose because the dark couldn't hold you anymore. And that's your victory. That's your peace. That's your power. They'll never see the work you did in the dark, but every breath you take now is proof that you survived it. And that's enough.